Alright, tubers. Well, surprise, surprise! Hope you guys liked my little intro there with my little printed sign. Try to figure out some way to start off this live stream. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Saturday night. I am mainly doing this, to be honest with you, because I am really bored at the moment. I don't have anything else to do tonight, so I figured I'd go ahead and we try another one of these live streams. I see we don't have any watchers yet. Well, it hasn't updated. I know a bunch of you guys are out there. Let me try to do something here. Alright, I'm increasing the mic volume. Tell me how that is. Everybody says the mic's volume is bad, but the mic is maxed out. Yeah, it kind of is. I'm going to keep it here for now. Like I said, this isn't the best setup, but it's what I have to work with for right now. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about it. I have some things I want to talk about too, but as I say, still super bad. Turn down the gain. I assume you mean the gain, so I'll turn that back down. Hello from Georgia. It is hot here and stormy, I-386. Oh yeah, it is really, really hot here. It got up to about 92 today, and I think we're probably going to get up to about 94 tomorrow. It's really, really been crazy. I know, but you know what? That's July. Excuse me. Ooh. And, of course, allergies are really, really bad at the moment. Yes, guys, I know that the audio is not that good. Unfortunately, it's definitely on YouTube's end because the mic here is working properly. So that's what happens when you live stream on YouTube. But gotta live with it sometimes. Alright, yeah, come on guys, we got 20 watchers so far. Let's go ahead and get some questions answered here. Liam Dyson, time to head to the thrift store for a new mic. Yeah. I know it. YouTube is really, really bad. Sometimes. I shouldn't say that though. No, it's not a Dollar Tree mic. It's actually the mic in my Logitech Webcam Pro 9000. Let's try a little something here. Advanced audio properties. Alright, see what you guys think of that. How's this mic working now? I turned the gain down just a bit. Can you guys hear me a little bit better? Somebody answer if you can. Interesting. Liam Dyson, it's 10 hours here in the UK. Yeah, it's hard because you guys find me from all over the world, and we're definitely in different time zones, that's for sure. Yes, guys, once again, I know we're having some mic problems here. Like I said, it's definitely on YouTube's end. I can try to tweak it a little bit. Well, let's see. Oh, getting a call from Mom. Well, we'll talk to her later. All right, I turned it down a little bit. How does this sound? Any better? Okay, I'll start to talk a little softly. Can you guys hear me a little bit better now? No, that was just a regular phone call. Excellent. All right, guys, so start throwing me some of your questions out there. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you. all those Dell Optiplex towers I got, a lot of them were missing the hard drive rail, so I actually wound up getting a bunch of these on eBay. I got 4 of them for 10 bucks, so got that squared away. Stephen Barber, have you owned a Macintosh Performa, any of the systems? As a matter of fact, I have. Over the years, I had a Performa 500 series. That, believe, was the one that just had the floppy drive. And then I had some weird Performa CD versions that were, again, I don't remember the models, but one had the CD-ROM in the middle, the floppy drive on the right-hand side, and those are all running OS 7 at the time. And I actually do have a Mac Performa sitting in the closet, but unfortunately I never got a ADB keyboard, so until that happens, that's kind of on the sidelines. Abandoned Exploration Adventures. Oh, hey, bud. Hey, Matt. Does your new van have satellite radio? Really nice ride, by the way. Yes, it does. It's got Sirius satellite radio. The subscription is still active, so I assume it was from the previous owner. I'll have to find out how to reactivate it once the subscription ends. Sam Heron, my question, what do you think of Linux OB on the desktop? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. Excuse me. Sorry, my nose is running like crazy tonight. Linux is okay. It has its uses. Definitely in the educational market. I know that a lot of times when computers get donated and, you know, say they're running something old like Windows XP or even, heck, Windows 2000, they can be repurposed using Linux, and Linux will allow these underprivileged kids usually to be able to get online, maybe watch some DVDs, even do some basic photo editing. For that purpose, it's good. I have dabbled a little bit in Linux. I ran Ubuntu, I've run Linux Mint, and I ran an older version of Red Hat for a while. I'll be honest with you, it's not my favorite operating system. To me, it's always been very buggy. I had issues running anything but NVIDIA cards. Like at the time, I had, this was way back when I had my Voodoo cards. I had some Diamond video cards. I know that's probably dating me, right? And ATI cards would never run properly on Linux. Maximum Linux is great on Pentium 4s. You know, I do recall that it does run very well, especially Ubuntu. I had Ubuntu running on a Dell Dimension 2400. I think that one was an Intel Celeron D, but it was a Pentium 4 based CPU, and even on that slow single core Celeron, it did very, very well for newer version of Linux. That was probably Ubuntu 12 at the time. I mean, this is still going back quite a few years. Okay, Max O'Neill, your main PC can watch 4K with 212 internet. Yeah, that's a nice connection. I'm running 100, so basically 100 up, 100 down. We're thinking about upgrading shortly, though. We haven't, our actual internet service, Verizon Fios, has just started to go with gigabit connection, so we may be upgrading to that shortly. Even at 100, I can still upload in 4K, so I might dabble with that in the future. But for the vlogs, I'm just going to stick with 1080p. Allergic. I hope I pronounced that right. My cat died a while ago. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Most of you guys probably know by now that I lost LT while we were gone. We had to put her to sleep, and you know what? It's always hard to lose a pet, but I'm going forward, and I try not to think about it a lot, to be honest with you. Let's see. DJ Plays. Update from my last question about getting more frames per second out of my CPU and GPU. I did all your suggestions about cleaning the computer, but it didn't work. I might have to upgrade my Pentium CPU. Yeah, you know, it really just depends on a lot of factors. The motherboard, not even just the processor, but the motherboard. I was talking to another friend of mine. He had a really nice GPU. I think it was a GTX 980 Pro, but he was running it on a ECS Elite Group's motherboard. And if you guys don't know about them, they are like the bottom of the barrel. And he was getting a lot of bottlenecks, very, very low frame rate, and it wound up being that the motherboard just couldn't handle that really nice GPU. Max O'Neill, I lost both my cats within 2 months of each other. They all had kidney disease. My girl cat had dementia too. Yeah, my we thought LT had that as well, because there were times she just sit there and meow and howl. Not that she didn't do weird things for her whole life, but she started getting even more weird when she had dementia. And yes, kidney disease is very prevalent in cats, and so is I guess my brain's not working right now. Cancer. We did find out LT had cancer as well. I-386. The only choice I have here is Charter. AT&T cannot even provide DSL. Charter is best choice here. Verizon will not bring in FiOS because AT&T owns all the lines. Yeah, yeah, I've seen issues like that before. Another reason is if you're in an older neighborhood that just has like coax or copper lines, then it's a big expense for FiOS to actually have to bring in their own fiber optic lines. We were blessed in a way that our neighborhood is newer. I say newer. It actually was built in the late 90s, but new enough to where they actually set the groundwork for fiber optic cabling. So we were very blessed. The city next to us, or I should say city, Suffolk, next to us has Charter. And they're a mixed bag. It really just depends on how many people are in your area using it. It was the same thing here, because before we had FiOS, we had Cox Cable. And the main problem with Cox Cable, even though they are a good company, I'm not going to bash them, in my neighborhood, that's all you could have. There was no DSL. And back then, there wasn't even any ISDN connection. So what happened is right around 5 o'clock, when everybody got off work, came home, and went online, the connection speed would go down to a crawl, and there was really nothing you could do about it. And that's because cable internet, you're actually sharing the bandwidth among everybody in your area that has it. Whereas with FiOS, you actually have a dedicated line. Hence the older term DSL, designated subscriber line. Michael Laforte, how's the bike chain guard? Oh, you remember that? Oh yeah. Oh, that was a nightmare when my chain kept popping off. I threw it away. I just got so tired because I cannot get these sausage fingers in there to put the bike chain back on when I need to. So since I don't wear pants when I ride a bike, I always wear shorts. I figured I didn't need the chain, so I just threw the thing out. Adam plays Minecraft. Hey, it's me, Adam, that you added on Facebook. Hey there, Adam. Nice to meet a fan. Okay, so I was reading something from Steven Barber. Yeah, DirecTV had I don't even know if they still have it, had something called DirectWay. I think they changed it to HughesNet, which was like their internet-based internet, and it was total garbage. If you were out in the middle of nowhere and you had no other options, then yes, I would say get it. But I remember when I worked in the electronics section at Best Buy, and one of our jobs was to sell all the different internet companies out there. At that time we had Cox, Verizon. This was before FiOS, so it was DSL. We had Charter, we had AT&T, and then we had DirectWay, which is what it was called when I worked there. And I remember getting one person to subscribe to it, and they absolutely loved me for doing it. But when they came back about a month later, they told me how horrible the speed was, and I was like, yeah, but unfortunately in your area, that's all you could have. Let me get a cup of water, or sip of water, let's say. By the way, I'm doing really well. I'm still drinking about a gallon of water a day. Sam Heron, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day? It's getting a little personal. No, I don't mind answering that. 2 to 4 cups, depends on how I'm feeling that day. If I wake up in the morning and I'm really sluggish, then by around, I usually do 1 cup when I first get up, another cup about an hour later, and then I'll have either a 3rd cup around 2 or 3, and sometimes that's it. But again, if I'm really sluggish, getting on 4 or 5, I may have a cup of coffee around 6. So anywhere between 2 to 4 cups, I would say. Let's see if I missed anybody here. Oh my goodness, excuse me, guys. Oh, I tell you, summer times for me are the worst with allergies. I don't know about you guys, but I feel it today. And I even have my air purifier and my air conditioner, my window unit on, so both of those are cleaning the air, but it's still not good enough to take all the allergens out. So let's see, we got 25 watchers, which I think is really awesome for being a surprise live stream. Let's see what else we got here. HughesNet, this is i36. HughesNet, or whatever it's called now, has low data caps and it's slow. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. I know back when I used to sell it, they didn't have the data caps, but I'm not surprised, mainly just because how expensive it is on their end to actually have the satellite internet. There's a lot involved in not only setting it up, but the equipment is so expensive. I remember the guy that I sold it to had to shell out $400 just to get the equipment. That was the dish, the actual box, which was like their modem, and then they actually had another box that acted like a router back then. I'm sure it's all much simpler today. They probably have something like a wireless gateway, but back then that's what you actually had to do. Uh-oh, red alert, red alert! Let's see. That's not us. Let me turn that off. Sorry about that, guys. I always keep the NOAA weather radio on nights that that we might have some storms. But they said we only had like a I don't know, 1 or 2% chance. I kid you not, about 2% chance of storms tonight. So not too worried about that. Well, you guys got a nice look at the short shorts that I wear when I go to sleep. Oh, i386. I cannot type today. Well, you know what? Maybe that means you need another cup of coffee. All that noise for thunderstorm. Yeah, I know. I sometimes, like, if it's around midnight and I remember, I'll go ahead and turn that radio off, because there's nothing worse than waking up at about 3 in the morning with that noise. It literally could send your heart into palpitations. I kid you not. I hate the hurricane warning sound. This is from DJ Plays. The eerie sound bothers me so much. I've never actually heard that. I don't know if in our area they have a different sound for hurricanes. I know that we have a tornado siren, which actually, thank God, has never had to go off. How about the Amber Alerts? Those things are terrible. Abandoned exploration adventure. Yes, but oddly enough, I don't get those on my phone for some reason. My parents do. They actually have the, what the heck is it called? That Walmart service. The Walmart track phone. But I have AT&T, and yeah, I don't get that for some reason. Rest in peace, my sleep. Yeah, at least for an hour or two after that happens. Tea is the best, in my opinion, Max O'Neill. Yeah, I don't mind tea, to be honest with you. I'll drink it at night. A lot of times when I'm sick, I love tea. Earl Grey is my absolute favorite, but I'm still a coffee drinker. I'll tell you one thing. If I got stranded on a desert island and I could only have three things, one would be my Keurig, for sure. That would be number one. Number two would be some type of water purification system. And number three would be a world-class chef. That's just what I would pick. Adam Stewart, I bought a GTX 960 back in February, but didn't install it until a few months ago. It is a dead GPU, no fans, no video put or recognition in Windows. I've heard that happening. It's kind of rare that a new card is DOA. I would definitely check what your power supply is, because if you have a power supply that isn't strong enough for that, then that can actually act like a dead GPU. They do that to prevent damage to the system. So make sure that your power supply specifications meet what the card says. In other words, let me actually look this up real quick. I used to know this. Okay, in your case, that card requires a 500 watt power supply. If you're running anything less than that, say anything less than a 350, it may actually do that. So definitely check out your power supply. Drummer Boy 3123. What kind of weather radio is that? It's a RadioShack brand from the late 90s. I can't see the actual model number, but it actually says RadioShack on it. I believe, though, it was made by the Tandy Corporation. This was actually made a few years before Tandy was defunct, which, believe it or not, that Tandy Corporation is back in one form or another now. They actually sell wireless keyboards and mice at RadioShack now. DJ Plays, did you quit from Best Buy or they let you go? I actually got fired. I'm going to be honest about that. And I'm not going to get into the details of what happened, but suffice to say, the new manager and I did not click, and I should have quit, to be honest with you, but I let it go too long, and she found a way to get rid of me. Adam Plays Micro. How's the mid-2011 Mac computer going? Well, if I turn around here, you can actually see it right there in the corner. To be perfectly honest with you, I actually haven't done too much with it. I've had a few other projects in hand. One thing I did add to it was the little external DVD burner, which I will probably show in another video when I actually get around to using that again. If you guys saw that vlog, it's one that I picked up at one of the thrift stores around here, and it works just great. It's basically an external super drive, and it gives me the capabilities of, one, being able to copy one disk to another, and two, it'll prevent me from actually wearing out the internal drive. So I was very blessed to have that. Adam Stewart, I have a Tandy 64K that was my dad's first computer. Are you referring to the color computer or the TRS-80? I'm not familiar with the Tandy 64K, at least not familiar with that term. Now, my first computer was a Tandy 1200 HD, which was one of their first hard drive based systems. That had an 8086 CPU, 640K of memory, and a whopping 20 megabyte MFM full height hard drive. And for you guys who've never seen a full height hard drive, they are huge. They're actually about this big. Let me see if I can pull one up here for you. Yeah, I don't like that one. Let's see if we can do this. Sorry about that, guys. Let me see if I can do this. Image. Add existing image. And of course, it's not playing nice with me today, so I'm not even going to worry about trying to do that. Just look it up if you get a chance. It's really interesting. It's one of the largest hard drives I've ever seen. Hi, Matt. Is there any site that has old RadioShack catalogs archived? And that is i386. Yes. Let me see if I can actually look that up. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's actually just RadioShackCatalogs.com. If you look that up, they have, I believe they have almost all of them cataloged there for you. Alien Technologies, what's the best Photoshop alternative, Matt? I've always, to be honest with you, I always used to like Picasa until they did away with it. I know it doesn't have the full functionality of Photoshop, but it always had enough for me, bearing in mind that I don't do a lot of actual photo editing. There are a few other ones out there, but I'm not going to try to teach you guys about that because I'll be honest with you, that's really not my forte. I'm sure it was a TRS-80. Yeah, yeah. I've never actually used one, but I've actually seen them work. I remember back in the day, they were the first ones that actually incorporated a floppy drive, and they didn't all have them either. Some of the original ones actually saved programs on cassettes. Garth Arnett's, what is your favorite TV program besides Alvin and the Chipmunks? Mine is Star Trek, Frasier, The Wire. Well, to be honest with you, you actually said two of them right there. Star Trek, Frasier. I love both of those. I like to watch old episodes of News Radio. Some of my younger subscribers probably have never even heard of News Radio, but yeah, it's one of my favorites. Even older than that, some of the classics I like Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie. As a matter of fact, I have a little funny anecdote about Bewitched. The actress that played Samantha, Elizabeth Montgomery, I actually went to school with her grandkids. She lived in the town right next to us when we lived in New York. And that's actually how I started watching the show back in the day. And I must say, her grandson was really nice. Her granddaughter, she and I kind of didn't really like each other very much, but her grandson was very, very nice. Spiking 911 USA. My first computer was a Timex Sinclair 1000. Judging by being a Sinclair, I'm guessing you were probably from the UK. I've heard good things about the Sinclair, but here in the States, we really didn't get them, didn't have access to too many of them. Paul Kellerman, are you getting cash? The cat. I haven't decided yet. I'm not going to do that until Mom and Dad get back into town, mainly because whatever cat we do get, I want this cat to imprint on Mom, because Baxter is imprinted on Dad and I, but really doesn't shine up much to Mom. So if we do get a second cat, want to make sure that she is there when we pick it out. That way we can stay in a room for a little bit and see how much the cat really likes her. Adam plays Minecraft. I'm from Scotland. Oh, interesting. I actually do have some Scottish blood on my dad's side from a couple generations back. Let's see what else we got in here. Well, since the questions have stopped for a few minutes, want to answer some general questions that I've gotten in the YouTube comments. I've had some people asking me about the 2010 Crunch Town Country, when I'm going to do the review on that. That is coming up. Basically, I'm waiting for Mom and Dad to get home because they actually have the floor mats that I want to put in. I want to have everything just so when you guys see the car, you see it as it's going to be. I did have an issue with a sensor that went out the other week, and it was actually a radiator temperature sensor, and unfortunately it wasn't covered under the warranty, so I actually had to pay one of our local repair shops to fix that. Dad wasn't here. I'm sure if he was home, he and I could have done it ourselves, but I'm not versed enough in in the mechanics of cars to tackle a job like that myself. Let's see what else we got here. A pineapple milkshake sounds good right now, Adam Stewart. You know, I like milkshakes. I don't know about a pineapple one. The only thing I don't like pineapple is the little strings get caught in your teeth. My favorite milkshakes have always been strawberry and vanilla. I know a lot of people like chocolate milkshakes, but never appealed to me too much. I never really liked chocolate in any type of ice cream or liquid form. My favorite kind of chocolate has always been a candy bar. Three Musketeers all the way. Chocolate milkshake. Yeah, I knew somebody was going to say that. Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to answer another question that I've been getting a lot about my vintage camcorders. As you guys know, when I first started this channel, and up until about a year or two ago, I always used, or at least most of the time, I used camcorders like this. This is just a Sony Handycam. This is a model DCR HC21. This is a mini DV camcorder, but I also like to use the Sony DCR TRV280 Digital 8 camcorders. And the reason I have not used those recently, mainly it's a lot to do with laziness, to be honest with you, because it's a lot of extra work to have to import all those video files. And unfortunately, the new YouTube algorithms really do not mesh well with the older video formats. Anything really sub 720p. And I can actually upconvert those files to 720p. I did that in the past. But it actually kind of looks grainy. And as YouTube has evolved and people get better equipment, the video quality just isn't what I would like it to be. So that's the main reason why I don't use them anymore. I may bring one or two of them out in the near future, just kind of like an anniversary special. But until then, they're just going to stay in my collection. Actually, they're over there in one of my drawers right now. There's a ghost behind me. It's moving. Yeah, sometimes I see that too. I just let him be. He doesn't really bother me too much. He'll middle of the night sometimes I'll hear bagpipes, but other than that, I just let him be. Him or her. I shouldn't say that. It could be a woman. Okay, AJS 2120. Okay, I assume you're talking about different brands of power supplies. Yeah. I have had good luck with Corsair, Antec. I'm not a big fan of Cooler Master. I actually had a Cooler Master blow up on me one time. Story for another time, too. Delta. I absolutely love Delta power supplies. As a matter of fact, the ones in the Dell Optiplexes that I just picked up are Delta power supplies. Now, officially, they're 275 watt, but if you do some research on those, they can actually handle a lot more wattage than that. I believe someone actually said they can handle up to 400 watts peak. I don't know if I believe that, but I'd say at least 350. They're built very well. They use solid components. I took one apart, not those, but another Delta years back that actually used some solid capacitors, which was very surprising, to be honest with you. Paul Kelman, I have a Dell XPS 8700, 16 gigabytes. Well, you're in good company because the computer I'm doing this on right now is a Dell XPS 8700. And I must say I am very pleased with this computer. Very few problems. Really, the only problem I had with this computer was originally I had a GeForce GT 640 in here, and I love that video card, but unfortunately, it wasn't compatible with UEFI, the advanced boot option that this computer uses. So until Windows booted up, I actually didn't see my BIOS screen, so I wound up upgrading to the R7 360 that's in it now, and ever since then, computers work flawlessly. AJS2120. I have a dead Optiplex 9020 here. The motherboard has given in. Do all the 12 of the ones you bought work? Yes. As far as I know, I've probably plugged in and personally tested about 80% of them, but they were actually tested at the store before I bought them. They were all tested to the BIOS screen, and yes, as far as I know, they are all good. Oh, excuse me. Oh, a little bit of my dinner coming up. But one thing I will say about those systems, even though they have the dual PCI Express that you can use in Crossfire, to do that, you would definitely have to upgrade the power supply. I've been doing some research. I have never personally used Crossfire myself, but for powering 2 Crossfire-capable video cards, you're going to want to have at least a 600 or 700 watt power supply. But other than that, these computers are really ready to go. And actually, I have somebody coming over tomorrow that's going to buy one of the Core i7s. And we'll see how it works. Like I said, I've done some research on these, and they are really solidly built systems, just like pretty much any of the Dell Optiplex series are. Being a business class system, these computers are designed for longevity, and I love them. I would buy as many Dell Optiplexes as I could, providing I could find something to do with them. What does your shirt say, Matt? Riley Freeberg. It's an old Foreigner shirt. Here, see if we can see that better. Got this at JCPenney probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. It was on clearance. I don't usually wear it out because, as you can see, the neck's kind of stretched out. But it's a nice shirt to kind of just bum around the house in. 12:44 a.m. here in the UK. This is AJS 2120. Time for bed. Bye, all. Enjoy the rest of this live stream. Well, thank you very much for staying up and being with us. I really appreciate that. And we're up to 28 watchers right now. And I think Baxter just came in, so we'll see if you come up and visit us one more time here. Oh, you know what? I'm really running out of things to talk about. Someone give me a little conversation starter here. Let's see what other trouble we can get into now. Alien Technology. Asus or MSI motherboards? Which brand is better? Oh, that's actually a tough one because I'll be honest with you, I've used both in the past, and if I had to choose one, I would probably say Asus. Years ago, when I built my very first custom system, which was a Pentium 4, that had an Asus motherboard, and that was pretty solid. So yeah, I would probably go with Asus myself. Sam Heron, can you please say hello to Joel? He's 3 but watches your vlogs. Oh, well, thank you. Hi, Joel. Nice that you watch these vlogs here. I try to do a broad range of things that everybody will be interested in. And plays Minecraft. Why did you start YouTube and how did you find your name? The name, basically, it's just my name, basically. And why did I start YouTube? That's an interesting story. Back in 2007, I had a friend that moved away and wanted me to show him how to install, it was a very easy thing, how to install a hard drive in his computer, his gateway computer. And I said, well, how would you like me to do it? And at this point, I didn't know anything about YouTube or live streaming or anything. So he suggested that I create a YouTube account. He said, there's this new thing called YouTube, and could I do a video about it? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I did a video, and actually that's one of my first videos, how to install a hard drive in a gateway computer, because he happened to have the same one. And I made that a private video because I wasn't planning on really pursuing doing YouTube as a hobby. But a few other friends asked if they could see that video too, because they also had similar computers. So I wound up making that public, and the rest, as they say, is history. Once that video went public, I realized that people were interested in what I was doing, and I just started making more YouTube videos. Like I said, I'll be honest with you, I never thought it was going to get to this point, and I thank you guys so much for watching my channel, subscribing, supporting me. You guys have definitely given me some great ideas over the years that I've been on YouTube. Stephen Barber, how do you... I had to downgrade to Windows 8.1 because Windows 10 gave me problems, and plus I missed 8.1. It's one of my favorite OSs. All I have to say about that is to each his own. You know what? I do know some people out there that absolutely loved Windows 8. I couldn't stand it. I hated that Metro UI. I couldn't stand the fact that there was no start menu. Yes, I realized there are third-party apps that would give you the start menu back, but they were buggy at the best of times. The best thing I tell you is go with what works for you. If Windows 8 works well for you, absolutely stick with it. i386, I miss Windows 7. Yes, Windows 7 is definitely one of my favorite operating systems. I would have to say it's on par for me with Windows 10. The main difference for me is Windows 10 is a little bit more polished. Windows 7 had, even though it was a great operating system, in my experience, had a tendency to crash, especially if you were running a lot of applications at once. Windows 10, I can't even remember one time that it's crashed on this system. And I'm going to tell you something. I've had this system running for about a month now without actually turning it off. Matter of fact, once we're done here, I'm going to have to reboot this computer. And it is as stable as it is the day that I booted this up about a month ago. I think I answered this one, but I will one more time for Jordan Bird. Are you going to get that the cat from Petco? He also looks like my cat. I'm a cat lover. Well, thank you. I love cats myself, as you guys know. I don't know. It's going to have to wait until Mom gets home because I want that cat to imprint on her, just like Baxter's imprinted on Dad and I. They're going to be back within a week, so if that cat is still available, then there is a good chance. But if not, I'm sure we'll find other cats that are just as nice. Matter of fact, I know that the people that we got Baxter from have 2 or 3 more orange little kittens just like that. Adam Stewart, do you like Windows phones? Never used one. I know people that have them, but I'll be honest with you, I've never actually used one before. I assume I would. I know that they're fairly stable, but no, just never had an opportunity to use one. Stephen Barber, what's your uptime? You said you haven't turned off, because I'm curious. What is your uptime? You never turn off. He never turns off his system. The longest I've ever gone running a system, my uptime was probably about 2 or 3 months. That was this computer before I went on vacation. And yeah, even after that, you know, the only reason I had to restart the computer at that point was my Logitech webcam was not working. Everything else was still working just fine. Sorry, somebody keeps trying to text me here. I'm not surprised. Eric Brunhammer's watching the video I did yesterday on the vacuum, that Dyson ball, that DC50 that I got. I'm telling you, I love that vacuum. I'll probably wind up doing another video just about that. Pick that up for $15. It is missing the attachments, but I can get those on eBay for about $10, and which I will definitely be doing, because it's amazing how much junk that gets out of the carpet, even after I went over the same area with the Auric. And that was funny because Auric back in the day used to comment on how they would pick up more junk after being cleaned up by something like a Eureka or a Hoover. So the Dyson's even that much better. Okay, give me just a moment. YouTube's being really stupid right now, and I know we got more questions. Come on. don't know what's going on here with YouTube. Just waiting for the live chat to refresh here. There we go. Stephen Barber, I think this is an older question, but I'll try to answer it anyway. My first Mac was a Performa 6300 CD, and my first PC was a Dell Optiplex GX110. Both were very good systems. Yes, I can't really say much about the Performa, but the Optiplex GX110 series, my uncle had one of those. This is my uncle, unfortunately, it's passed away now, but he had one of those for, it must have been 5 or 6 years. He got it at a thrift store that he worked at, and it was a Pentium 3, 800, I think it was an 867 megahertz Pentium 3. And he got his use out of that. That thing was a die-hard. Ugh. Ugh, still losing my voice here. All right, I am going to go ahead and finish up this live stream here in a minute because I am losing my voice even after drinking water. So a couple more questions, and then we'll go. Sam Heron, why is your house always so tidy? I didn't really think about it. I don't really think it is. Well, to be honest with you, my mother has always been kind of a clean freak, and I guess that just kind of rubbed off on me. And I guess I just don't like a mess, to be honest with you. Though, if you saw my bed right now, you really wouldn't think I was much of a clean freak. Yeah, I just didn't make it this morning. TM Days, you guys are lucky with your thrift stores in the States. I went today and all exorbitant pricing. I've heard that from other people that live in various countries. The best thing I can tell you to do is get up a rapport with the manager there. A lot of times, if they're putting out items on a regular basis that you like, but you think the price is a little too high, keep an eye on those items. If they're sitting there for 3, 4, 5 weeks and they're not being sold, I don't know how your thrift stores work. Ours will systematically lower the price every 2 weeks. If they don't do that where you are, then it might be time to go up to the manager and say, hey, look, I'm interested in this item. It's been here on the shelf for 5, 6 weeks, and would you be willing to negotiate on the price? And that's what I do at times. I'm not afraid to do that. Even if the thrift store said they don't negotiate prices, a lot of times they will if it's an item that's been sitting there for a while, because they would rather see that item sold than just go and have to throw it away. So just a little food for thought there. That inside of my mouth. All right, tubers. Well, we're about to hit the 15-minute mark, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish the live stream for tonight. Hope you guys really enjoyed this. I'm going to try to do at least 1 or 2 of these every month. It's just going to depend on if I have the time, and mainly if YouTube cooperates, and hopefully we don't have any other issues like we did the first time where the first 5 minutes you guys couldn't see me. I really appreciate you guys being here. And as I say for all of my videos, have a blessed day, everybody.